are the New York Knicks. I'm back, rocking in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts, it's like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to New York Knicks Podcast, episode 463, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
I am fine. I'm still pretending everything's going to work out for the Knicks until we know otherwise. So
Do you know who else is pretending everything's going to work out for the Knicks?
What's up?
Do you know who else is pretending everything's going to work out for the Knicks?
The Knicks media? I don't know who.
Vegas.
Ooh, really? Why? What is Vegas predicting here?
They set the championship odds for next season for the Knicks. You want to guess?
Let's see. Based on this season, $1 trillion to 1.
Close.
I don't know what is it. You're saying that Vegas thinks the Knicks have a shot next year because they're going to get these guys. Even if they get them, I feel like they're far from a lock. They go that far in the playoffs, but 30 to 1.
16 to 1.
16 to 1?
Yeah, isn't that ridiculous?
Wow.
I wouldn't give them 16 to 1 if they got Durant.
Yeah, I don't think I'd put 16 to 1 if they got Durant, but Can you? I know in like the stock market, I don't know how to actually do it, but you can bet against stocks. Like you can bet they go down.
Right.
Is there any way to bet against these odds?
I
Like
would.
have somehow, because like it's not going to be 16 to 1. It'll end up being like 9,000 to 1 once they don't get Durant and don't get Zion.
Right, exactly.
Wonderful. I whatever. This is our last show prior to the draft lottery. So I am assuming I'm going to pretend the Knicks are getting Zion, pretend they're getting Durant until we're told otherwise, because might as well pretend for now. Do you know ESPN is airing a 90-minute pre-draft lottery pre-show?
That seems a little much.
It seems a little much. It's one thing I understand totally if it's the actual draft. You can do a lot. You can analyze, blah, blah, blah.
The draft is already like a 2-hour thing. Do I really want to spend 3.5 hours on the draft?
Are you analyzing how ping pong balls work? Like, what's the? I don't know what you do basically for 90 minutes. Like, what do you? Yeah,
They're just going to show clips of all the guys, and it's like we've already been doing that for months.
But there's no analysis to really do. It's just a lottery.
Yeah.
How do you analyze things for the lottery? Hey guys, do you know how a chance works?
They're just going to do their whole mock draft. I think the Cavs get the number 1 pick, and they'll take Zion. They'll just go through the whole mock draft.
You know how, which is kind of pointless, is you don't know who's going to get who. You know how like the team that gets number 1 always has like if it's a given who's going number 1, they'll have that player's jersey.
Yeah.
Like with Shaq, like the Orlando had like a Shaq jersey already.
Yeah. The Knicks had the Ewing jersey.
Yeah, it'd be great if the Knicks won and immediately they had an Anthony Davis jersey. They're like, you know what we're doing with this shit?
Where they pulled out a John Morant jersey and then said, no, just kidding, and then pulled out a Zion jersey.
They traded the 5th draft pick jersey. Oh man, I know they're not going to get. They're going to end up with the 5th pick because that's our luck.
Well, that's also the highest percentage.
Yeah, I know. If they get 1, obviously we're very happy. If they get 2, because I feel like John Morant's probably gonna go 2, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So with 2, I'm gonna pretend to buy into Morant and think like that wouldn't be a bad second prize. After that, if we get the 3 or later pick, I'm just gonna walk around sad. Just being like, well, I'll be like, I'm sad, but at least we're getting Durant. When I find out we're not getting Durant, then I'll get really sad.
Yeah.
It's gonna be bad. According to Woj, he thinks Durant has not made up his mind, and it's going to come down to which player he can partner with and which team he feels like gives him the best chances.
Okay, so it's confirmed he's not going to the Knicks.
It's also, I don't understand. He's going to come down to which player he can partner with, according to Woj. He's Durant. He's the best player available. Just recruit someone to come with you. I thought Kyrie Irving was going to come with him. or just anyone else. Get Tobias Harris, whatever. You're the best player in the league.
Wouldn't his best bet be to team with Kawhi and go to the Clippers?
Shut up. His best bet would be, hey, Clay, do you want to play in New York?
I still think Kawhi is going to be a better free agent.
Well, yeah, except for like the Knicks will get Kawhi, and Kawhi's like, I'm doing every other season. I'm skipping this season. So it'll be the better odds are going with the more sane player.
But when Kawhi is good, he is insane.
He looks really good so far in the playoffs, right? This is the Kawhi This is the Kawhi you want. Toronto was hoping to get.
He's a clear top 2 in the East.
Toronto versus the Bucks the next round.
I don't know.
Bucks are about to go up 3-1.
Yeah, well, the Bucks are definitely advancing. So,
is Toronto going to advance?
I don't know. It's both of those. Toronto and Philly both alternate between looking really, really good and looking terrible.
It's 2-2, right?
Yeah, that series is a complete toss-up.
The only thing I'd say about it is you have the best player on the floor. You should win the series. And Embiid is very good, but he has not been very good this series.
What is going on with Embiid? He's got a stomach ache. His elbow hurts. He's broken, basically. They drafted him broken. He's been broken ever since. He looks good at times, but he wears out. I don't know. Yeah, like Game 3, he's healthy, and he just goes berserk. And you're like, well, he's unstoppable. They're going to win the series. And then a game later, he's just like, oh, I don't know, my stomach, or I don't know what the hell is going on.
I don't know. He's just like I don't know what the story is, but like Philly's in a tough place because I think Toronto's going to take them out, and then where do you go from here if you're Philly? I mean, they've got some young players, but I feel like Embiid's never going to be your number one player. You need someone else who's going to be better than him.
See, that's the thing. On paper, you choose Embiid over Simmons.
Right. Yeah, I think Embiid, if healthy, could be your best player and lead you, but he's never going to be healthy for he's not going to be able to play 40 minutes a game in the playoffs for you.
The crazy thing is, I would much rather a team of all the guys they traded to get Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like if they had Saric and Landry Shamet.
I thought you meant all those guys versus this entire Philly team. You mean all those guys still on the team?
Instead of Butler and Harris.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think the depth thing would be more important.
I mean, Shamet looked awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say Shamet looks really good.
And then if you take Saric, Covington, and Shamet, that's a good team.
Is it crazy? Like I feel like Simmons and Embiid don't look great together. By the way, Simmons also, he passes a little much. I know he's a point guard, but it seems like he doesn't want to take the big shot anymore. I don't know.
What if you had Saric, Covington, Shamet, and then you traded Simmons for like 2 good players?
Well, here's the question I was going to ask you. Are you better off going all in on Simmons or all in on Embiid? I think considering Embiid's health issues, you might want to go all in all in on Simmons and make an awesome trade with Embiid.
But do you want to go all in on Simmons when he can't shoot and looks like he wants nothing to do with offense in the fourth quarter of a playoff game?
Yeah, it's a tough one too. Like they're very imperfect stars. I think I'd roll my dice with they're both young, obviously. I'd roll my dice with the fact that I guess Simmons he missed his first year because of injury, but I'd roll my dice with Simmons over Embiid. I
think I'd roll my dice with Embiid because if healthy, you can win with Embiid as your best player. I don't know if you could win as Simmons as your best player.
What do you think you could, if you went on the market to trade one of those guys, like what do you think you'd get for Embiid?
I think you still get a first and a really good player.
Could you turn Embiid into Anthony Davis?
I think so.
And would that be worth it?
Yeah.
I mean, they both have injury issues, obviously. Or let's say you go to trade Simmons and Embiid. Could you turn Embiid into Zion?
Maybe. Embiid's
Simmons,
trade value is still really, really high.
I mean, both good. So, and Simmons, what can you turn? I think Simmons probably does not have quite as high a trade value, even though he's less injured. What can you turn Simmons into? Could you turn Simmons into Anthony Davis? Then again, I don't know if I want to pair Embiid and Anthony Davis together.
You definitely don't, but I would say it would have to be Simmons and another first, I think. I don't think Simmons would do it.
Can you turn Simmons into Zion?
No, but you could probably turn him into John Morant.
I don't know if you want to do that.
I don't think you want to do that either, but I don't know what the trade value is with him.
I mean, there are only so many stars you want to trade for. Also, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. What are those? What else is going on Knicks? Is there anything else to talk about the Knicks?
We got a few emails.
Oh, James Dolan is being sued for being an awful share.
I think we did that last week.
No, we didn't. You just talked to me about it. It didn't happen last week.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
So apparently he's only been working part-time.
Allegedly. Let's just say allegedly.
Allegedly. All this is alleged. Spending too much time with his band and giving himself 5 times the salary as everybody else. And so the other shareholders are pretty pissed and they're suing him. Not shareholders, board of directors.
Okay, so hopefully you guys can sue him and get him out from the Knicks. Please, just I hope at the trial the plaintiff shows up wearing a Knicks jersey. He's wearing a Charles Oakley jersey. This is for Oak. You're going down. I'm gonna pretend that's how court actually works. What else? Let's update on the rest of the playoffs. So Celtics look like they're down 3-1. They look like they're going to go out to Milwaukee.
Yeah, they're down 10 with 4 minutes left. So most likely they'll be down 3-1.
Bucks look really good. I still think Bucks probably are going to the finals. But Celtics, what the hell happened?
I don't think Hayward ever really recovered. He just looked like he recovered because they were playing the Pacers.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of what they're doing. I think Kyrie is extremely overrated. He hasn't looked good at all. If you've listened to this podcast, you know I've been saying for a while.
I was just listening to Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons made the point that you can win with Kyrie if he's your second best player. Then you're golden. You cannot win with Kyrie if he's your first best player. He's your best player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put him next to LeBron. He's fine. Put him next to another superstar. That's why the Durant-Kyrie thing is not so bad because you have Durant as your superstar or as your better player that he could defer to.
Remember when Boston wouldn't trade Rozier and now they're not playing him?
I don't know what you do with them. If Kyrie leaves, they're in a weird place. They still have a lot of talent, a lot of young guys, but Tatum has not really developed as good as they hoped. Jaylen Brown hasn't stepped up either. Like a lot of those guys have not taken to the next level, and partly because you had to play Hayward and play Kyrie, you didn't have as much playing time for these guys.
Yeah, but it's only their second year for those guys, so they can still be really good. But Horford's getting older, and after Tatum and Brown, I don't know how many other really good pieces you have on that team.
Yeah, I would say then it really goes downhill, and you're still going to be stuck with Hayward for a while.
Yeah.
Moving to the West, in the most fun of the series, Portland versus
Denver Nuggets.
How
can you forget the team we picked?
2-2, right?
2-2.
Enes Kanter saying his nipples are hard because he loves the playoffs. He's playing well. I mean, I can't knock Kanter's play. Kanter's been fine during the series.
He's been fine. Jokic is insane.
He is so good.
Quadruple overtime game this weekend. He played 65 minutes. I think that was the third most minutes ever in a NBA game.
He's such a great, it's just so interesting to see how the offense runs through him. He gets everyone. Actually, on the Bill Simmons podcast, they also talked about Jokic being one of the most fun players to play with. If you're going to play with someone, because he always hits you with a good pass. If you're going to get open, he'll get you with a good pass and set you up for a shot.
I didn't realize how awesome it was playing with a really tall guy who likes to pass until I was playing in rec league and we got a ringer one week and the guy was he wasn't even that tall. He was 6'3", but in the rec league he was by far the tallest guy there.
Okay, Manute.
And I would just appear with the ball in my hands under the net every time. It was this is amazing. And that's probably what it's like playing with Jokic.
And I mean, he's not exactly He's not exactly great on defense, but he's good enough on offense that it doesn't really matter.
Well, he's not getting destroyed on defense either.
Right, he's not Enes Kanter on defense, who actually hasn't even been that bad on defense. But it's just that if you have a vital possession, like at the end of the game, was it last night? Where they basically took Jokic out for like a play on defense because they were like, we'd rather.
Well, he also banged his thigh or his knee, and he was limping, so they didn't want him on defense for that. On offense, it looks like he doesn't even move around much, but he scores and passes whenever he wants.
Yeah, they were at the quadruple overtime game, which is the playoffs would be really great if you didn't already know the outcome. It wasn't already spoiled by the fact Golden State's going to win the whole thing. It'd be a very fun playoffs.
Well,
it's like someone told you who's going on the Iron Throne for Game of Thrones, and then goes start watching episode 1. Let's see what you think. Start watching the first episode of the last season, but here's how it's going to end.
Yeah, the Warriors should be up 3-0, but Curry had one of the worst games I've ever seen him play.
You knew Houston was going to win at least one game, if not two. I think they might get I predict it goes 3-2 before Golden State wins this. So speaking of Houston, I have a couple questions for you. The first is, so we all kind of hate the how Houston has figured out the new Moneyball approach is the getting fouled while you're getting 2 point and one basically is the new Moneyball thing.
Right.
They say statistically, I was reading an article about how basically like a 3-point shot is worth 1.6 points. But the only thing worth more than that, or I forget what is it? No, a 3-point shot yields more than 2.6 shot points according to these stats. Whatever. I read this article on this. It basically getting a foul drawn on when you're shooting is the most efficient shot you can take in the NBA. Because either way, you go to shoot the 2 fouls, free throws, and then if you make the shot, you would get 3, or if you make it from 3, you get 4, yada yada. It ends up being the Moneyball approach to basketball is to get fouled on every shot.
And if you don't get fouled on every shot, then you hire an auditor to go over the game. Yes.
Get to that in a second. So fouls drawn while shooting 3-pointers. Do you want to hear who's in second place since 99-2000 season to last basically 20 years? You want to take a quick guess who's second place? I mean, first place is Harden. Who's second place? Any clue? You're probably not going to get this.
Wait, what was it?
It's
fouls?
Getting fouled while shooting a 3.
Oh, it's Jamal Crawford, right?
Yeah, that was pretty good. So it's 249 fouls while shooting a 3. James Harden is number 1, which you didn't even need to guess. Guess how many Harden has?
I'm going to guess it's like 500.
Okay, not quite there. 429. That's still insane. He has almost 200 more than the guy in second place for the last 20 years.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Over the past 3 seasons, the Charlotte Hornets ranked second in the NBA with 185 3-point shooting fouls drawn. Harden has drawn 288 by himself. I mean, it's just absurd. I mean, obviously, he kicks his legs, does whatever with the landing zone to make sure he gets fouled while shooting a 3. So the question is, are you angry at Houston for this? Or / James Harden? Because it's Houston, not just James Harden. This is their team approach. They want Harden to do this. Are you angry at Houston / Harden, or are you angry at the NBA? Who you more upset with?
I'm upset with both, but I'm more upset with the NBA because there's plenty of film, there's plenty of evidence. People tag the official NBA Twitter, the official ref Twitter, and they can see that he takes a shot and then he sticks his legs out and falls on his butt, and they're calling it consistently. And nobody wants to watch free throws. It's cheesy. It really affects the game, not just for that extra point, but
the guy's in foul trouble.
The guy's in foul trouble. So now you might have the best player on the other team, at least the best defensive player on the other team, because that's probably the person covering Harden. He's in foul trouble now, and for a thing that's not even a foul, it's
absurd. It's completely absurd. The other guy, and also that guy now has to sit in the bench, and Harden gets covered by a lesser defender because of that.
You see what happens when they don't call it. Houston loses.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. It's also in the playoffs. At least you can like teams better plan for it during the playoffs. You're playing these guys every night or every other night versus like the regular season. But so Houston has tried to exploit a loophole, I guess, in the NBA rules. How would you fix this?
Stop calling that.
I would call, if you're trying to draw a foul with your 3-point shot, call a technical foul. 2 techs, you're out of the game, right?
Yeah.
So call a technical foul, and then the rest of the game you're going to be worried. You're going to be extra worried about doing that.
Either that, or just go back to the '90s rules, where if you touch a guy after a shot, not run into him, but like a little bit of contact, it's just a no call.
They have to let some of these, yes, on 3-point shots especially, let a little contact go.
That call where you're going up for a block and your hand touches his hand after the ball gets released, that's not a foul. That's incidental contact and should not be called at all. You're allowed to like bump into somebody under the net and it's not a foul, but if you touch somebody's fingertip on a 3, it's a foul.
No, it's completely absurd. You have to switch. You have to change the rules. 3-point shooting has also gone crazy in the NBA. I think it's to a certain extent making the game worse.
I do too.
I was going to go there in a second, but I think you allow incidental contact, and the landing zone. There's no such thing as the landing zone. You have to let the guy land. That's about it. Just like you have to let the guy land anywhere else on the floor.
Well, I get it. They don't want people sliding under and rolling their ankles and stuff, but James Harden jumps forward. So
yeah,
the ref's got to keep track of that.
You're under the basket. You're allowed to jump. Like, you're allowed to be under the guy. Like, there has to be some. Yes, they have to basically make it harder to draw a foul, basically, when you're shooting the 3.
Yeah, I agree.
So what would you change? The NBA's gone crazy with 3s. Would you change the NBA has made changes in the past to make the rules? Like they changed the game like 7 billion years ago when George Mikan played to make it harder for him. They changed the game they changed the rules because of Wilt Chamberlain. They changed the rules they added the 3-point line when it used to be a 3-point line. They change the rules every once in a while for the sake of competition.
Yeah,
would you change
hand-checking rules?
What'd you say?
The hand-checking rules.
Yeah, exactly. So would you keep the 3-point line as is, or would you make some changes?
The only thing I would do is maybe I'd make the court a little wider.
Okay.
I just feel like the space on the sideline is too tight.
So there's an ESPN article about some suggestions. I want to get your insights or what you think of these suggestions.
Okay.
Because the whole basic of the article is guys are just too good at shooting the 3 these days, and it kind of ruins the game. What can we do to make it a little bit better? So the first one, which the guy admits, people immediately told him this is the dumbest idea they ever heard, but it's an interesting idea at the same time. Allow NBA teams to draw the 3-point line wherever they want. In other words, like baseball, every stadium has different dimensions. There's no like mandated dimensions. Like the first base has to be 90 feet, but like the outfield could be at different dimensions. And soccer, the fields can be different sizes. So in other words, then MSG, they draw the 3-point line where they want. You go to Toronto, play in Toronto, they draw the 3-point line where they want. You don't have uniformity with this. What do you think of that?
I don't really like it. It would be funny because Golden State would just put it at the 30-foot line and nobody would get 3s except Golden State. But
the Knicks would make it a layup.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's 3.
They're still not making it.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that.
Okay, I mean that's the most radical change. The second idea, you know how basically that the corner 3s are closer basically than it's the closest part of the 3, right?
Yeah.
So it's make it a true half circle that goes all the way around. You can make the court a little bit wider to comp for this, but make it a true half circle. So every point on the circle is the same distance. So the corner 3s are a little bit harder of a shot, and guys don't just sit in the corner waiting for the ball. Basically, make the court. I guess basically, if it's a harder shot, guys aren't going to just sit there and wait for that shot.
Right. Yeah, I'm not totally against that. The corner shot is a little harder though because you don't have the backboard for depth perception.
Right. I mean, yeah, I agree. Personally, when I shoot, I think it is. But according to the NBA, it's the easiest. Like guys hit that at the highest rate.
Yeah, that's interesting. I I wonder if they hit it at the highest rate because those are usually the most open threes.
I mean, that could be, but it's also like the closest. So that probably has some.
It's the closest, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like the whole backboard thing makes a big difference, at least for me when I'm shooting.
What if you make it There's a little bit of a radical idea, but you make it like a kind of a half circle, but it doesn't go all the way in, like almost a line that like behind this line is 3, in front of this line, across. It's completely just 2-point shots. So in other words, basically you eliminate the corner 3 entirely.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so you have a bit of an arc, like a bit of a half circle, but that half circle goes to end, and past that you just don't have you eliminate the corner 3 entirely.
That's interesting. I mean, what is the point of all this?
I don't know. It makes the game more interesting because it's kind of annoying as hell when guys shoot like 70, 73 pointers. Like it's when both teams are shooting 53 pointers a game, the game kind of like sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a fan of 3-pointers, but I felt like it was more like an event like 20 years ago. You had 1 or 2 really good 3-point shooters, and even then they were shooting 5 or 6 a game.
Yeah, I mean, there's something not so great about the fact that teams are shooting a 53 point. It just becomes a jump shooting contest from 3.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you made the court wider and just moved it, what is it? What's the distance right now? 28 feet.
Mm-hmm.
If you made it 32, make the 3-point shot a little bit harder, and that would lower percentages, and teams wouldn't be going to that, and also the floor would be a little bit more wide open.
It's not a bad idea.
So one of the other ideas was right now, it used to be a 3-point shot was like the goal was, I mean, in theory, the goal was that you could shoot 33% from that. Now guys shoot 36%. So move the line back until statistically you can figure out where guys would shoot 33% again. Just you want to lower the percentage basically, which I guess is kind of what I just said there. Just move it back a little bit.
Yeah. Because
if you're shooting, it's one thing if you're shooting 40% from the line, keep jacking them up. If it's back a little bit further and guys are shooting like 29%, 30%, well, now we don't all shoot threes anymore.
Right, yeah, because it's at the point now where if you don't have 2 or 3 good 3-point shooters on your team, you're just not a good team.
It's also like when you could have like an NBA team be smarter than everyone else by limiting mid-range shots, in some ways that also makes the game worse.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's just like you want guys shooting from everywhere on the floor, and not encourage them not to shoot from like. You don't want to encourage guys to not shoot from 10 to 28 feet.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when there's not a lot of different styles now because everyone just does the same style.
Well, it makes sense. Everyone goes towards Moneyball. But it would be better that's why I feel like that's really the issue. Everyone's going towards this Moneyball. Everyone's in the exact same style, and that makes the game worse.
Yeah.
Find some way to open the court up a little bit and make it more fun again. Because what's more fun? This Golden State team is pretty awesome. Not pretty awesome. It's pretty fun to watch to a certain extent just because of how Curry can he gets an inch of space and suddenly just nails a 3, and that's kind of fun to watch. But at the same time, it gets everyone's doing it. It gets kind of lame. In some ways, I want to see a Shaq type low post presence game, low post again. And I want to see just different styles.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even opposed to LaMarcus Aldridge. People crap on him because he doesn't shoot many threes, but if you shoot that much higher of a percentage from 3 feet in, then shoot from 3 feet in.
Yeah, of course. No, I agree with you on that also. It's just everyone just assumes that Aldridge could take 3 feet, step back 3 feet, and nail the threes also.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't.
The other idea, would adding a 4-point line, and they always talk about this, would adding a 4-point line make things better?
No. You would have a bunch of JRs jacking from 40 feet away, and just it would get even worse.
Do you think the NBA needs to do something about the 3-point line, though?
I think the bigger problem is the foul calls, the charge blocks, the hand checking, the ticky-tack fouls, the quick techs. There's too many game stoppages. I would take care of all those things before I took care of the 3.
Yeah, I agree with that. I kind of always thought the worst thing about the NBA, I don't know how to fix it, is just free throw shooting. It would be great if you could eliminate free throw shooting.
I don't even mind free throw shooting. What I mind is when there's too much of it, because now every team is trying to trick the refs, and it's a skill if you can trick somebody into getting a foul. Like, all that garbage has got to stop. I don't mind if there's a few free throws. It's a good chance to go to the bathroom or whatever, but like the only time I'm against free throws is near the end of the game where they're fouling on purpose, because like yesterday, what was it, Philly Toronto, where Philly was trying to win and Toronto was up by like, oh no, it was Denver Portland. It was Denver
Portland. They kept doing fouls.
The last minute and a half of the game was like 30 minutes long.
I agree with you. I just wish there was less. I guess basically call less fouls. That's the problem. The problem is that if you call less fouls, you return to 90s basketball, which I don't have a problem with, but the NBA has a problem with.
I don't know why.
They want high scoring because they think high scoring, like when you score 80 points, that's not exciting. But if you score 150, that's what their goal is. But 3-point shooting in general makes the scoring go up higher.
But it's artificial.
It's all artificial. Like, couldn't you basically return the 90s basketball? Or sorry, call less fouls, but maybe take the shot clock down from 24 seconds to 20 seconds to add more shooting to the game?
Scoring was higher in the 70s. How were the ratings then? Not very good.
Yeah, but I mean, that's before basketball was invented by Magic Johnson. Yeah, no, you have a good point also. I don't know. I don't like where the NBA is headed right now. And the free throws, I think the 3-point shooting is a little bit annoying. The free throws is much more annoying. The drawing the fouls is by far the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
But I kind of wouldn't mind a more continuous sport with less free throw shooting, more just like action.
Well, there would be more of that if they would stop calling the play where you can just rip the ball across a person and that's a foul on them and all that garbage.
Yeah, that is true. Okay, so Facebook. Do you have your emails open?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to go emails first or I'll go Facebook and you go. David writes, isn't Dolan getting sued what all the Knicks fans wanted? Validation on how uninvolved he is?
Pretty much. It's kind of funny that we all kind of suspected he wasn't very involved, but
I mean, we don't want him involved. So, I mean, we want him not even to attend the games, much less anything else. Like, it's kind of fine, actually. He's right. We should all be like, good, he's uninvolved. Perfect.
Yeah. The thing is, he gets involved. He's always that like dark cloud where you'd never know when he's going to get involved, and that I'd rather him just focus on his band. Yeah,
I mean, I agree with that.
Can't they just be like, if you go away, we'll still give you whatever percentage. Just don't be here.
I mean, whatever. He's going to go to the games. I just want him to hire someone and just let the person run with things, which he's kind of done for a while.
I don't care if he goes to the games. That's fine.
Except for when he like screams at fans or like bans them from games, or bans like Knicks greats from games.
Okay, yeah, actually, he's been a problem at games too.
But I felt like with Phil Jackson, who was a disaster, that he like gave Phil Jackson carte blanche. I don't get the sense he's really interfering with Mills and
Perry.
I don't get a sense he's interfering with them right now either. There's nothing that like screams Dolan made this move.
No, I totally agree. I just feel like he has the ability to, and you never know when that's going to be.
I agree with that. I do feel at this point, though, we're complaining too much about Dolan because I don't think it's necessarily Dolan's problem. Like, Dolan's not necessarily the issue right now.
Right.
Like, it's not Dolan's fault that Knox doesn't know how to pass or that, like, Ntilikina doesn't know how to play offense. It's not Dolan's fault.
I agree.
Kale writes, what's a realistic expectation for next season regardless of which free agents and draft pick we get? Surely we have to make the playoffs at worst. Love your show. Thank you, Cal.
Well, if you say regardless of free agents, like there is a chance that nobody comes, and if nobody comes, we're not making the playoffs.
I mean, I don't necessarily think we're signing. If Durant doesn't come here, I don't necessarily think we're signing anyone big. I think that we might just go like pursue next summer.
The Knicks don't do that. The Knicks will sign somebody.
I don't think they're going to. I think they may. If they don't get Durant, I think they might just go like we're gonna use the cap to like the Nets did, like to like bring in bad contracts, but we're not going to like we're going to hold off and go back to free agency.
I could not see them trading their franchise cornerstone for cap space to get a free agent and then not spending money on a free agent. I just can't see them doing that.
That's the old Knicks, Jay. This is Perry and Mills. We got a genius duo. We got two people, not just one.
Didn't one of them sign Hardaway to that ridiculous contract?
Yeah, that was Mills. That was before Perry got here. Now they have two brains. Two brains are better than one, Jay.
I don't trust Mills at all.
Well, that's why we have Perry. It's two brains, Jay. What's wrong with you? The man with two brains. It's the Steve Martin movie. Yeah, so I think with Durant, we're a great team. With Zion, we're a very good team. So let's just say we don't get any free agents, but we get Zion. How good could this team be?
35 wins, 9th seed.
We're excited about them.
No.
With Durant and Zion,
46 wins. No. 40.
We're gonna get Durant, another top player, probably trade, but make a bunch of moves and get Zion. We're going 50 wins. We're probably turning Zion to
Well, if it's Durant and another player and Zion, yeah.
Durant's not coming here himself. Okay. And then if we don't get Durant, we don't get a big free agent, and we get John Morant or someone lower in the somewhere lower in the draft.
23 wins.
I want to discuss this let's go real quickly on this. Let's just say we get Zion, we get Durant, we get Kyrie or Tobias Harris, just someone else, two big superstars, including Durant, and a Zion, or maybe we trade for Anthony Davis. Let's just say we get a dream scenario. How does this affect Knox? I want to go through how it affects the young guys.
I would say it would be beneficial. Maybe he's not passing because he feels like he needs to take over a game.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks have kind of said you're like one of our big offensive weapons. So like now you could step back and kind of develop a little slower because we have really good players on the team.
Right. And also you're expendable. So if you don't start passing, we could get rid of you.
And you learn from really, really some of the best players that probably institute better, better work ethic. Just teach you more about basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. How does this help Ntilikina?
It'll be a really fun team to watch on TV when he's in China.
Okay, Dotson?
Dotson might have the same thing as Knox, where less is expected of him, so he can come in, be some energy off the bench, play like 15 minutes, and just go all out.
You think Dotson could be is his ceiling like a J.R. Smith without the drinking and partying? And alleged drinking. I don't know really what J.R. said. Without the clubbing, that is. I mean, that wouldn't be bad, actually. If he became a J.R. Smith, I'd be very happy.
A more consistent J.R. Smith?
No, let's just say a J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith was at times very inconsistent, but like he was still a pretty decent player. Like he did win Sixth Man of the Year. Like that J.R. Smith.
No.
It's not a bad ceiling.
The Sixth Man of the Year. He had like 6 really amazing weeks, and everyone remembered that, and then he won because of that.
Yeah, whatever. He still got an award.
Good for him.
He was good at times, but at times he was a solid guy off the bench. He can get you a bunch of points.
Super exciting.
Mitchell Robinson.
I mean, he could just focus 100% on. He'll get a lot more. He'll get a lot more easy buckets.
Yeah, like the defense is doubling on Kevin Durant, and he passes out to Mitchell Robinson. It will be really helpful. Or having like Kyrie or whoever else get the ball to him. If you have guys that really draw the defense away from him, he could probably average maybe 12 points a game, maybe 12 to 15, even up to 15, which would be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
get 10 rebounds. Like I have high. I really hope they don't get rid of Mitchell Robinson. And Trier. Oh, I have 2 more. Trier and Dennis Smith. So Trier, what do you think? What happens to him?
Trier, I think, would be a good 7th man. I think he would. I mean, I feel like a lot of these Knicks players are kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean,
Trier and Dotson would have kind of the same trajectory. I think.
Yeah, I mean, Dotson's a better 3-point shooter. I think Trier could be a decent 3-point shooter. Trier is better going to the basket. They're both decent defenders, not like great, but like they're both decent. They could get better. Okay, Dennis Smith. Can the Knicks roll with let's say they go Durant, Tobias Harris, and they get Anthony Davis? Can you roll with Dennis Smith as your point guard? Is that insane?
I wouldn't recommend it, but it's not insane.
I mean, does Dennis Smith get a lot better with this kind of team?
I think he would have to, right?
Yeah, I guess everyone would have to. I mean, the whole theory is that like any Knick would look better on a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, no one else on the roster is worth even talking about.
No.
Angry Knicks fans writes, if the Knicks get the 5th pick, which moves would you make utilizing the pick? If you stick with drafting, who are you most interested in grabbing? So the first part, what kind of trade can you make with the 5th pick?
How much are you getting with the 5th pick?
Well, I guess if Durant's coming here, you try to move it. If Durant's not coming here, then maybe you just keep the pick.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know what you... It's a weak draft. I don't think you're getting a lot for the 5th pick.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting much with the 5th pick. Yeah, I don't think if Durant... Yeah, I guess either way, I don't see you getting a lot for him. Like, you're not going to get a star player for the 5th pick.
Right.
And so, who the Knicks going to get? At the 5th pick, you're talking maybe a Culver falls there, or I hope not Cam Reddish. Maybe DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, that's pretty much the options.
I'm looking on Tankathon. They have a mock draft here. They have Knicks getting Zion at number 1. John Morant going to Cleveland. Barrett going to Phoenix. Why would Phoenix draft Barrett? Don't they have another guy that can't play defense and scores a lot?
They don't have a point guard, though.
Yeah, but come on. But Barrett's not even a point guard.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But like it just feels like it would just be overkill of all these guys that could score that can't. I don't think that would make a lot of sense. But whatever. I think outside of the 2nd pick, you're probably gonna have trouble moving the draft pick for anything that's really worth trading. Maybe a team can talk themselves into John Morant. But again, if the Knicks get the number 2 pick, why would they not just want to draft John Morant?
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have a point guard anyway, so. Jeffrey writes, last week's episode of GOT was awesome. I'm not going to read the rest of it. Sorry. Jay has not watched the rest of Game of Thrones. So, Jay, I hope you didn't read this question, did you?
I did not. Okay,
so Jay is not caught up. He is going away to Asia because that's where the United States is sending him. He'll be back you're visiting your girlfriend's family in Thailand?
I am, and then I'm going to Japan for a few days.
That sounds pretty awesome. It almost sounds like a trip you should do twice. Did you do the same trip last year, Jay?
2 years ago, I also went to Laos last time, and I spent less time in Japan.
Was Laos cool?
It was very pretty. It was nice, but I would say it's really good to go once, but it's not something I'd be like, wow, I got to go there again.
Okay. I mean, it sounds like I've been to Thailand once. I thought it was awesome. I've not been to Japan. I'd love to go to Japan.
Japan's incredible.
Yeah. But anyway, so Jay is a huge fan of Game of Thrones, but he's waiting till he gets back from Asia to binge through them all. And then Jay, I'm going to force Jay to do a Game of Thrones Brink of Sanity podcast where we go through all the episodes, and because I think that'd be really fun. Will you do that, Jay? You could drink during it. It'll be fun. I promise you, it'll be fun.
I guess.
I think you'll have fun. I really want to talk about this show, and I really want to talk about it on the podcast.
I don't see. I don't know. I feel like
you haven't watched it yet. That's why you don't see it yet. Okay. Why you want to talk about it? You've watched every episode up to this point. You're a huge fan of the show, right?
Yeah, I just don't get doing a whole podcast about it when it's one where the other podcast we do, The Brink of Sanity, is a comedy podcast, and two, anybody who hasn't watched it will be alienated. So I don't.
Just I mean, who cares? We will put like spoiler alert on the whatever the show notes so people know not to listen to it if they haven't watched. It'll be fun. You don't want to just shoot the shit about Game of Thrones? I feel like the conversation we would just have anyway, we can have on the show.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Jeffrey writes, my question: if the worst, it's one thing if we were watching we were doing a podcast right after the red. Would it be fun to do a red wedding, brink of sanity? Okay. Why you get the hell out of this country, Jay? On Thursday, you should leave this goddamn country.
You know what? I can't take you anymore. I'm going to leave the country.
Jeffrey writes, my question. I'm going to leave out. I left out the Game of Thrones part of his question. My question: if the worst possible scenario happens, Dallas getting the number 1 pick, how long do you think it takes KP to want out? Remember, he wants to be the top dog and not play with someone like KD or Zion. Do you think KP would react to basically someone else being the top dog on his team by wanting to get out?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if that's really his KP. I don't know what the story. I mean, do you think KP wanted to leave because the Knicks were trying to get Durant? I don't know what the hell the story is.
No, I think there was. I think he thought the team was mismanaged and he just didn't like it.
I mean, the team is mismanaged, and there's a reason not to like it. If the Knicks had been managed properly, I think he probably would have been fine with it. He didn't mind having Melo there.
Right.
Though Melo was kind of hanging the team off to him.
Yeah, I don't think that was it.
Yeah. But that would be a complete nightmare if the Dallas gets the number 1 pick, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Twitter question. And then you can go to emails. Nicholas writes, if you had to bring an ex-player, God damn it. If you had to bring an ex-player back to the team as a mentor or vet, who would it be?
I would probably bring back Tyson Chandler.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty good one. As obviously, I guess a mentor towards to Mitchell Robinson, our best player. That makes a lot of sense, and just a good influence on everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. He seems like a good locker room guy. If he didn't complain at those years in Phoenix, he's a good locker room guy.
Who would you rather bring back? Here are your choices: Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith,
Jesus Christ,
or Stephon Marbury.
Marbury.
Just because he's going to bring sneakers for everyone?
It seems like he was a good teammate in China.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay, who would you rather bring, J.R. Smith or Carmelo back?
J.R. Smith.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like J.R. Smith at this point, you could be like, J.R., you're kind of washed up. You could play 10 minutes a game. Whereas
Melo demands to start still?
Yeah, Carmelo's still like, no, I'm the best guy on the court.
Yeah, I mean, also J.R. Smith already moved to more of a role player in Cleveland, so he's more comfortable being a role player versus Melo's like, I don't understand why I'm not the number 1 option on the Rockets.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like you would, as much as I would hate having JR, I think there would be less problems than having Melo on the team.
Emails?
Yes, we have just a handful of emails. Kenny writes, do you have any predictions for the roster for 2019? Blows my roster predictions. Not sure if Shamori Pons from St. John's University is declaring for the NBA draft. Would love to see a local New York boy play, even if he has a point guard. So he predicts Zion, Pons in the second round, Durant and Kemba Walker, and then pretty much the team we have now going all the way down.
How much does it annoy you? That's not bad. That's fine.
And he says he has a sneaky suspicion that we trade Smith Jr. on draft night.
He thinks so?
He thinks so, yeah.
Oh, I'd be surprised if they did. Because, they just traded KP basically to clear cap space and get Dennis Smith. You think they'd want to keep Dennis Smith, especially because he's controllable for another year at least. Or another 2 years?
Yeah, I think they only do that if they can get a player they've had their eye on.
Isn't it really annoying that the Knicks would have the 35th? If the Knicks had not traded away the second round draft pick, they would have had the 31st pick in the draft. Basically, almost another first round draft pick if they hadn't traded away for nothing.
Yep.
That was Phil Jackson trading it away to clear cap space for no. I forget how terrible that trade was. It was who was trying to sign Travis Outlaw or something?
Yeah.
Or to get rid of Travis Outlaw,
or
to sign. Who was the LeBron stopper they got with that? Knight or remember the year they won 17 games? They had that one guy, Travis Ware.
Travis Ware.
the LeBron stopper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, that sounds pretty good for the team. Go on.
Yeah, I mean it's realistic anyway.
I don't want to talk about how bad the roster could be when Durant says no and we don't get Zion. Then we'll have all summer to talk about misery.
Axel writes, "Hi guys, just wanted to ask you before the draft lottery your opinions on the available prospects. Considering we can get 1 through 5, I want to hear your personal opinions and also rank your top 5 prospects from best to worst and why.
Okay.
Regards from Sweden."
Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go with, and don't copy my answer, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with Zion Williams, number 1.
Man, that's weird.
You had the same one?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's weird. Just copy me, why don't you? I'm gonna say Morant is who I take at number 2.
Yep.
Despite any questions that people have about him, they say he's the real deal as a point guard, and it sounds like he'd be a pretty exciting point guard to get, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what. There's questions about his defense. I think there's questions about his motor. Whatever it is, the guy's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
So I'm down there. 3 people are talking up Culver. He'd look good in the tournament. I take Culver at 3.
You don't like Cam Reddish?
Cam Reddish looked like garbage for Duke. Cam Reddish looks like a giant. He didn't play that well for Duke last year. Why do you think he's going to be such a good pro?
I know nothing about college. I was like, hey, I've heard of Cam Reddish.
I guess basically he wasn't really that great on the Duke team. People think he has a lot of potential, but he really didn't live up to it last year on Duke. And not that you write a guy off, but I don't want to take him number 3 in the draft. If he didn't look that good in college.
Fair.
Reddish has a lot of potential. He's definitely a top 10 pick, maybe top 8 or top 7. But I don't take him at 3.
I can't. Okay, I don't know anything about college, so I can't.
Okay,
really...
so 4, I take Barrett. Whatever you say about Barrett, he still has a lot of potential. He could still be a great scorer in the NBA. He has more talent than most of the guys. I'd probably take him there. And 5, I'd probably take Hunter. And Hunter's probably more of a safe choice. He's supposed to be a solid defender. I think Hunter's more of at best he'll be like, hey, we'd like him as our 5th starter. Right. We're happy he's our 3-and-D type guy.
All right, good list.
Yeah, not that I know that much. I don't know. I've just heard enough about Reddish to not be so high on him. Whatever, we'll see. There are a lot of guys I really don't know that well either. So,
Haggai writes, if you could choose as the top 2 stupidest NBA players today in terms of handling the media, social media, and public perception, I would choose Kevin Durant and actual basketball genius, his quote, Kyrie Irving.
I guess saying that questioning whether the Earth is flat is not exactly genius. I mean, are you a fan of what Cantor does? I started hating what Cantor does. Cantor's bullshit, bullcrap.
That's a good one. Cantor's annoying as hell.
He's annoying as hell. He talks trash about players and draws unnecessary social media. You have what's his name, Devin Booker calling him out for pick and roll to him every time because Devin Booker's I don't need to even go on social media to call you out, but you're being a jerk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good one.
Why? So you take Durant or do?
No, I would probably take. I don't know if JR is even significant enough to take anymore.
He's not significant on social media or anything else now.
Cantor and Kyrie, I think, is a good combo.
Durant obviously has some issues with he has some issues with the media, but I don't think he doesn't do anything that stupid on media, except for the fact that he doesn't really what a private message and a non-private message is.
What about Anthony Davis?
Do you remember the Anthony Davis, the Kevin Durant thing where he thought he was writing back, or maybe it was from a fake account? He was writing back?
He had a burner account.
Yeah. What about Anthony Davis? I don't know much. What does he write?
Well, it's handling the media, and then he.
Oh, I thought it was handling. I thought the question was about social media.
It said media, social media, and public perception.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
So I mean, this is a guy who tried to force a trade and then wouldn't give a straight answer about what he wants for the rest of the season.
I mean, supposedly there's a rumor that he might just go back to New Orleans. He might just be fine staying on the team. Which is insane for a guy that didn't play for half the year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Anthony Davis.
I mean, but there's so many guys that have it's a hard thing to navigate. Also, people don't obviously Jimmy Butler can look kind of bad. Also, that's another one that just looked terrible. Basically,
well, I think he's just terrible.
Well, but do you think? Well, here's the thing. Obviously, these guys are getting boatloads of money. They're in a very anointed place in life. But if this happens to you at work, where you want out from your job and you
can't imagine
you're being one from out. What'd you say?
Can't even imagine a situation like that.
Can't even imagine. But if you want out from your job and all over social media, everyone's like, "How could you screw up over your company, Jay? What the hell? We want you playing for our team, doing whatever you do at work." And you're like, "You don't even know what I do at work. What are you talking about?"
No, it's got to be annoying. I think if I was famous, I think I would just have to not be on social media because there's too many people out there just yelling at you over everything.
But you also kind of grew up with social media. So you're since you were 11 years old, you've been obsessed with social media because this is the culture you grew up with. And now you're a part of it. And everyone's talking about you and you're trying to be outsmarted. You're trying to you're oh, I'll be smarter than everyone. And you make the same stupid mistakes everyone else makes because even the president looks like a goddamn jackass on social media. Well, he is a goddamn jackass. But everyone looks like a goddamn jackass on social media.
Yeah, which is why I think we should stop.
Social media. Well, yes, I agree with that. And the NBA is kind of on two. They don't want players to look like jackasses on social media. At the same time, they're go build your brand. It helps us, basically. The more of a storyline you create, the more the NBA becomes a bigger product.
Yeah. That guy writes... oh, never mind. He was correcting himself. We have one last question. Axel again writes, I would also like to ask you about our lottery odds because as much as it pains me to say, there's an 86% chance that we don't get Zion. And if that happens, would you like us to trade down instead of getting Morant/RJ? I have seen some rumors that the Knicks would be willing to package the 2 to 5 pick, Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., and 2 future first rounders to the Pelicans for AD. Sound too crazy for me.
I mean, I would only do that, I guess, if you're getting Kevin Durant. I don't want to put Mitchell Robinson in. I think did he include Robinson or not? He did include him, right?
No, Knox, Dennis Smith Jr., this year's pick, and 2 future firsts.
Well, that sounds a lot.
I wouldn't give up 3 firsts.
That sounds a little bit much, but I understand the idea of trying to go all in if you're getting Durant.
Yeah.
And as long as we're pretending we're getting Durant, we have to pretend it makes sense to trade all these. Knicks have to do This is a huge obviously getting Durant is kind of a dream scenario for Mills and Perry, but it also puts them to an insane test to figure out how you turn the worst team of the NBA into one of the best teams of the NBA within one season.
Yeah.
Because just adding Durant and let's say Durant and Kyrie for the sake of argument, and then you add the number 3 pick in the draft, you have to turn all these other assets to viable players to play next to Durant and Kyrie.
Yep.
Because you can't just have those 2 guys and go okay, just win us all these games. We just won't have anyone else on the team for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jay. The lottery next, you'll be in Asia, but this is the last show before the draft lottery. I am on Tankathon. I'm going to hit simulation lottery once, and this is where we're going to land. This is what's going to happen. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, I'm going to hit it, and the Knicks won the draft.
All right.
We're 1, Phoenix is 2, Minnesota's 3, Chicago's 4, and Cleveland's 5, and this is what is going to happen.
Perfect.
Okay, NBA, don't screw us. Do not screw us, NBA. Please, basketball gods, don't screw us.
All right. We are NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, and Patreon.
What's the Spotify? How do you find us on Spotify?
Just type in New York Knicks Podcast.
Oh, okay. That couldn't have been easier.
Yep. And please leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and subscribe. And you could email us nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
Jay's going to post his itinerary for a trip to Thailand and Japan. You can join him. You can fly in the plane with him and everything. He'll tell you exactly where he's going to be. So if you want to go to Asia and follow Jay, you can.
You can check us out on I will post a lot of the Asia pictures on our. We have another comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity. So
on that Instagram, you're gonna post it?
Yeah, on that Instagram.
Okay.
So that Instagram is. What is that Instagram? That Instagram.
Brink of Sanity at Instagram.com. I don't know.
Yeah, it's The Brink of Sanity on Instagram.
Okay. What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that the Knicks are going to win the draft.
That's all we needed to share. I learned that, and I'm good to go.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Mark will be back next week for the draft recap.
Yes, I will hopefully be doing a show the night of the 14th. That night, a post-draft lottery, and I will do it without Jay, so we'll see how this goes.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.